So I'm not too sure where this year has gone, but a new month means a new round of fantastic highlights from the regional MMA scene, and this week is a special one because alongside some fantastic quick round KOs, we've got a fight from A1 Combat that results in someone having something broken. So here's your first cringe warning, and we've got a prospect of the week that you are definitely going to want to keep an eye on in the near future, and a spinning hook kick KO that is just brutal. But let's get to our fan comment of the week, which goes to Gabriel Rosas, who said, "That slam hurt my neck." Short, sweet, and to the point, just like this slam KO last week that ended this fight just 1 minute into the second round. And we love to see highlights like that here at Caposa's Corner, so congrats to Gabriel for winning our fan comment of the week. What is going on, everyone? It's the Casual, Lawton Vierkant, and this is Caposa's Corner. Kicking us off this week, we're heading to Vita Fighting Championships 3 in England, where we have a flyweight matchup between Martin Fuda, who has a wow 5-17-1 record and is on a 6-fight losing streak, and he's up against Lewis McGrillen, who we actually featured last year on this show, and he's sitting at a clean 4-0 record. I don't even have to say it, and I know records don't always mean everything because this is the fight world, but we are just over a minute into the first round, and let's just see what's gonna happen.
Well, it hasn't done Paddy Pimblett any harm at all.
Not at all.
Oh my goodness.
Holy catch kick KO. That is definitely one way to secure a knockout, because after he catches his front kick, McGrillen loads up this left hook and just absolutely lifts Martin off the ground, and he is down and out. Although this matchmaking seemed a little skewed, as I mentioned earlier, this does improve McGrillen to a clean 5-0, and he also had a fantastic 8-1 amateur record. Oh, and he's only 21 years old. So with a little bit more experience and some more challenging opponents, this guy could really turn into a fighter that we see more of in the future. Up next, we're going to check out TITANFC 78 in the Dominican Republic, where we have a women's strawweight matchup that sees Talita Alencar with just a 2-0 record, and her opponent, Karen Quintaro, has an even 1-1 record. Now, that seems more like a fair matchup, and this fight starts off quick because just 10 seconds in, Quintaro throws this huge takedown, but Alencar recovers almost immediately, and just 20 seconds later, gets a takedown of her own, and this is basically where the next and final minute of this fight stays, as she takes the back shortly after, and, well, it is not looking good for Quintaro.
Pressure. And both her previous victories were via the rear naked. Karen Quintaro's in trouble, and she taps. Talita Alencar moves to 3-0.
Rear naked choke just under 2 minutes into this fight, and Alencar keeps her record clean at 3-0. So yeah, all 3 professional wins of hers were via rear naked choke, and I almost forgot to mention, although her MMA career is in the early stages, Alencar is a 6 times BJJ world champ, which explains her solely having submission wins, and Caposa did note that she almost took our Prospect of the Week award this week, but he stated that he needs to see how she competes against someone with a better record. But all in all, she's got one hell of a background in BJJ and is off to a great start in MMA, so I'm sure we'll be seeing some more from her this year. Now we're gonna head to Action Fight 21 in Brazil, where it is of course time for Caposa's KO of the Week. Here we have a flyweight bout between Renan Firuza, who just has a 1-0 record, and he's up against Iago Torres, who is just making his pro debut. So last week we had a double spin kick KO where only one fighter landed cleanly, and I think one of these guys might have been watching that fight too, because just 40 seconds into this one, well, someone's gonna try to land one of their own.
É, o Renan. Ah, a luta tá aberta, Tomás Neto.
Meu Deus! Que final de luta!
Oh yeah, one spinning hook kick from Torres and one lifeless fighter on the canvas, and this one is over. I guess if you're making a pro debut and want to make a statement, this is probably the best way to do it, considering that knockout was incredibly impressive and happened, like I said, in just 40 seconds. It seems like we've been seeing more crazy spin kick knockouts lately, but that is something I personally am all for. But all in all, congrats to Torres on winning our KO of the Week award and for securing his first MMA win, as well as this incredible highlight reel. Moving on, we're gonna head to Ultimate Warrior Challenge 36 in Mexico, where we have a flyweight matchup that has Oscar Vasquez with just an 0-1 record, and he's taking on Brandon Uruchurtu, who has just an 1-4 record, but he was featured on this show last year for the only win on his record. So we've got another first round finish, but this one almost waited too long because we only have 13 seconds left, and then this happens.
They don't offer too many forgiveness. There we go! There we we go. Electrifying knockout.
Talk about a 1-2 and I'll be damned. Uruchurtu does it again and claims a win and another fantastic KO for Caposa's corner. Also, look at that mouthpiece just flying through the air after the jab lands, and then he follows it up with this straight that just sends him to the canvas, and of course the one lone hammer fist sneaks in before the ref jumps in, and this one is over. Beautiful sequence though from Uruchurtu, and congrats on yet another highlight reel finish. Next up is Fighting Alliance Championship 15 in Missouri, where we have a lightweight bout that sees DiMaggio Smith sitting at a 2-1 record, and he's taking on Gage Young, who has a very nice 4-0 record. It seems like this week we have a lot of fighters with undefeated records, and as we near the minute-and-a-half mark of round 1 in this one, do you think Young will be able to keep his record clean, or will he finally accept his first loss?
Nice and composed in there like he wanted to. He talked about staying calm.
Beautiful cross, and he's out. Oh my God.
Well, I guess that answers that. Today is not the day for Young to receive his first loss, and another 1-2 that just absolutely connects and sends Smith down to the canvas, only for him to be swarmed by this ground and pound that is quickly stopped by the ref, and this one is over. Along with his now impressive 5-0 record, Young also had a fantastic 7-1 amateur record, and Caposa also said that he was a very close runner-up for Prospect of the Week, along with Alan Carr from earlier, but he is confident that this is not the last time we will be seeing either of those fighters. So congrats to Young on this beautiful first round KO and for keeping his record clean. Off to visit our friends at Cage Fury Fighting Championships 111 in Mississippi, where we have the main event middleweight title fight for the vacant belt that has Miles Lee with a 3-0, and his challenger Donovan Beard has a very nice 6-1 record. This was a busy one, so let's take it from the start. Round 1 sees Lee securing takedowns and just maintaining control almost the whole round, and this is basically what the second and third round look like as well, and Caposa informed me that CFFC only goes to the 5th round for title fights if the scorecards are tied at the end of the 4th. And we do end up making it to the 4th round, so we can assume that with how this fight has gone, Beard has got to get some type of finish, or this one is going to be over at the end of this round. So do you think the comeback is possible, or is Lee going to take this win in dominant fashion?
Lee got the fight to the floor. Oh, look at this, though.
Throws up a triangle.
The triangle choke is there.
Is that locked? It's locked.
And he got the towel. Oh.
Well, like I said, there was only one option for Beard, and that is exactly what he did when Lee took him to the ground by throwing this triangle over him almost immediately, and then seconds after gets the tap and secures this win just halfway through the 4th round. What a freaking comeback and performance by Beard, because as you saw, this fight was definitely not going in his favor, but he did not give up and kept pushing through, and when he finally landed this triangle, it all paid off because he secured this win, improved his record to 7-1, and he is your new CFFC middleweight champion. Now we're gonna head to LFA 137 in California, where we have 2 fights to show you, and the first is of course Caposa's hand-picked submission of the week. Here we have a lightweight bout between Jean-Paul Lebasnoyani sitting at a 4-1, and he's taking on Caleb Hall, who has a nice 4-0 record. So these guys hold nothing back as soon as this fight starts, because we've got a flying knee into a takedown attempt, then straight into a guillotine, and holy hell, we are off to the races. After about a minute of wrestling, it appears that Jean-Paul has the upper hand, but is it gonna be enough to secure this win?
That's a crank. That's a submission wrestling move that we would do at CSW.
Oh yeah, it is, via scarf hold arm lock, which Caposa educated me as well on, because these are also known as a scarf hold Americana or a key lock, all synonymous, and whatever you call it, it is a beautiful submission. And you can see that as soon as he traps the right arm of Hall, well, there's just not much he can do, and you can see it on his face that he is just in pain and is forced to tap, and this one is over. This whole fight only lasted a minute and 21 seconds, and Jean-Paul adds another win to his record, improving it to 5-1, and easily claims our submission of the week title. For our second fight at LFA 137, why not? Let's go ahead and dive straight into Caposa's prospect of the week. Here we have the featherweight main event that sees Haider Emil with a very nice 6-0 record, and he actually fought 3 fights back in Bellator from 2018 to 2019, and he's taken on Chase Gibson, who has an 11-5 record, as well as a fight on the Contender Series back in 2020 where he sadly lost. Okay, Okay, so we've got two fighters, good records for both, and both have some experience on some pretty major platforms, so this should make for a decent fight. And needless to say, these two wasted no time getting into the action, and the first round sees both guys land some takedowns as well as some big shots, but with just a minute and a half left, Gibson lands this deep standing rear naked choke, which I'm still surprised Emil didn't tap to, and then they both proceed to still beat the shit out of each other for the remaining 40 seconds of the first round. So yeah, that was a lot, but we do make it to the second round, except this one only lasts 11 seconds, and after seeing that first round, I think this fight could go either way.
The strikes thrown and landed. Emil 82%, Gibson 85%. Emil dropped him.
Alright, if we have any doubters saying that this was an early stoppage, go ahead and look from this angle and focus on Gibson's eyes, which roll back immediately when that second right hook lands, and thankfully the ref did step in and calls this one off. And by now, I think you can assume that Hyder Emil is in fact our prospect of the week, so let's talk about why. This win obviously improves his record to a very impressive 7-0, and all three of his LFA fights have happened within a year of each other, and they were all fantastic fights. I also mentioned earlier that he had a 3-fight Bellator run, which obviously were wins as well, so yeah, Bellator is a major promotion, and we all know LFA is basically a stepping stone to the UFC, so someone like Emil with an impressive undefeated record and just honestly bangers of fights every time he steps into the cage could be very attractive to the UFC, or at the very least the Contender Series. But either way, as you've seen with these highlights, this guy is just an entertaining fighter and on a fantastic streak, so we highly doubt this is the last time you see him, so everyone keep your eyes on Hyder Emil. And for our last event this week, we're heading to Uriah Faber's A1 Combat 4 event in California as well, where we have 3 fights to show you. For the first, we have a featherweight matchup that has Yannick Krahenbuhl just making his professional debut, and he's taking on Matt Hampton, who has just an 0-1 record. So this one was a personal favorite of mine, primarily because it's brutal and only lasts 39 seconds in total. So, who do you think is gonna take this one home?
Red tape around his gloves. Ooh, big left hand. That's it. That fight is over. I don't know there.
A huge left hand from Hampton that just flatlines his opponent, only for him to follow it up with 2 more blows before the ref steps in, and this one is over. Yeah, this is yet another one that just doesn't get much more definitive than that, and we love to see these finishes here at Caposa's corner, and even though this was Hampton's first win, he is still early in his career and hopefully can use this momentum to gain some more great wins like this one in his future. For our second fight at A1 Combat 4, we have a welterweight bout between Marcel McCain, who only has an 0-1 record, and his opponent, Blake Perry, has just a 1-0 record, but that one win was in Bellator earlier this year. Okay, so in the intro, I mentioned a cringe warning about someone breaking something, and well, here we are. Now, this one was a pretty back and forth first round, but when we only have 15 seconds left in the round, you might notice that something looks a little off on Perry's face. Okay, yeah, that is definitely broken, and when the hell did that happen? Well, thankfully the replays have it, so let's take a look at those real quick. Just before that final sequence, McCain lands this huge knee that connects to Perry's nose, and how in the hell does someone just eat a knee that big that literally breaks your nose in one of the nastiest ways I've ever seen, yet he is still pushing forward. These fighters are just absolutely unreal, and unfortunately this fight doesn't have a dramatic KO finish because in between the first and second round, the ref and the doctor are kind of going back and forth on if this fight should continue, and ultimately they decide to wave it off even though Perry is disputing, yet again proving that he is an absolute beast for wanting to finish this fight. And again, this one doesn't have a huge finish, but that knee that caused this break was just too brutal for us to not show you, so we want to say props to you, Perry, for being as tough as you are and wanting to finish the fight, and congrats to McCain on pulling off this win because of that nasty knee. And for our final fight this week, still at A1 Combat 4, we have a middleweight fight that sees Ryan Loader sitting at a nice 3-0 record, and his opponent, Sean Sullivan, has just a 1-0 record. So you know we had to end this week on something big, and as you can see, just about 25 seconds into this one, we go to the ground, and Loader is just controlling everything about this fight for almost a full minute, and once he secures both of his opponent's arms, well, there's just really not much more to be done than to finish this one.
Gotta get out of this position. He cannot continue to take these shots. And now he's cut. Frank Trigg looking to stop the fight, and he does.
Oh yeah, in what was a half crucifix hold while controlling the other wrist with his own hand, Loader had a wide open lane to land some of these nasty elbows to a defenseless Sullivan, and all it took were a few huge shots before the ref steps in and puts a stop to this one. That was just some prime domination from Loader as he puts an end to this one just under 2 minutes of the first round, and he secures this win, keeping his record clean at 4-0. It is a new month, which means we are starting fresh with our board of the top KOs, subs, and prospects of the month for August. So don't forget that as the videos come out to leave your votes down in the comments below as the weeks continue so that we can tally them up at the end of the month with what the fan favorites were for all 3 categories. And as far as last month is concerned, we had this beautiful turnaround KO from Shane Sobnoski at Freedom Fight Night 2 that is still just as impressive that he survived the hook that sent him down, only to get the win with a hook of his own. And for our submission of the month, well, that award goes to Ramazan Gasanov from 2 weeks ago, who somehow secured this Ezekiel choke from the bottom just halfway through the second round of this fight at the Eagle FC and Niza FC co-promoted event. And our Prospect of the Month award is none other than David Chmielowski, who landed this devastating front kick to the body last week at KSW 72, and he now has a clean record of 10-0, and we will most likely be seeing more from him very, very soon. And these videos are not possible without the help of Caposa, so make sure you give him a follow on his Twitter at Grabaka_Hitman, and you can also show him some support by checking out his Patreon at patreon.com/Caposa, and don't forget about his website GrabakaHitman.com, where he posts weekly live schedules and the easiest way to watch these insane regional fights every single weekend live. We also want to say a huge thank you to these amazing organizations for hosting these events year-round for our viewing pleasure, and to the fighters, winners, and losers, and we will see you all on the next video.